With the Dark Lord of the Sith, Darth Bane, having lived a millennium before the era of the prequel and original trilogies, it might not seem likely that Luke Skywalker knew of the Dark Lord and the details surrounding his Sith philosophy underpinned by the Rule of Two. However, with the recently released Secrets of the Jedi reference guide, we now know that within the canon, Luke Skywalker knew about Darth Bane and his Rule of Two, building off the material in Legends that saw Luke have a tremendous understanding of the Sith Lord by obtaining and studying his writings within the Book of Sith. In this video expose, we'll look at Luke's thoughts about Darth Bane and his philosophy, as seen within the former Legends and how it's been brought into the current canon. We'll start with the canon version of Luke's understanding. Although I have a few frustrations with Secrets of the Jedi, only from the point of view of how limited an amazing character like Luke has been within the sequel trilogy and the accompanying written materials, the reference guide is a lot of fun. It's written from the perspective of Luke, where the Jedi Master provides a lifetime of knowledge regarding topics ranging from the Force itself, its light and dark side components, and the most popular Jedi and Sith from the era of the Clone Wars. There are even small references to my favorite canon topics in Lord Momin and the Force Priestesses. But when two characters that I have in my personal top 5 favorites in all of Star Wars reference each other, I'm quick to take notice, and Luke's reference to Darth Bane within Secrets of the Jedi was a very welcome surprise. It's not the most detailed section of the guide by any means, but given how little we know of Bane in canon, the inclusion of the name alone creates some very interesting lore connections. So what exactly does Luke say regarding Bane? In explaining the Force's darkside component, Luke is quick to point out that the galaxy had many darkside practitioners fueled by hate, anger, and fear. But the most well-known and fearsome of the darkside entities were the Sith, an order that desired to extinguish the light for thousands of years. A promising reference to the potential for Sith stories to exist in canon spanning multiple millennia, just as seen in Legends. From there, we see Luke note that Darth Vader wasn't the only feared agent of the dark side, moving to the importance of Darth Bane. And Luke knew the crucial contribution Bane made to the history of the Sith, knowing Bane wasn't only a visionary, and understanding there should only be 2 Sith Lords at any one time, but also knowing this principle was executed through Bane's Rule of Two. Luke saw the Rule of Two as being defined by betrayal and a vicious circle where one master trained an apprentice in the dark side, fully knowing they would eventually kill them and take their title and position as Dark Lord of the Sith. Luke's definition of the Rule of Two would certainly offend Bane's view of his philosophy from a Legends perspective, the Rule of Two being a way in which to stop the endless infighting and betrayal that plagued the Sith Order. But Luke does have the details right. In demonstrating the lesson learned from Bane, Luke concludes that while the Sith hadn't risen in the decades since the fall of the Empire, they could very well return from the shadows at any time. It's a great reference demonstrating Luke's knowledge of Sith history, but more importantly, it allows for Bane to be seen in other areas of canon lore. Luke's knowledge of Darth Bane in canon isn't surprising given the extent that he was familiar with the Dark Lord within Legends. In Legends, Luke was actually able to obtain the writings of Darth Bane entitled The Rule of Two, which was found in Emperor Palpatine's secret storehouse on the planet of Wayland, 20 years after the Battle of Endor. It was initially known only to Luke, Leia, and Mara Jade, but Luke clearly studied the writings of Bane intensely, with his notes allowing us to see exactly what the Jedi Master thought about one of the most important Sith Lords in the history of their order. For example, not surprisingly, given their opposite positions from the light and dark, Luke completely rejected Bane's definition of what the Force was at its most basic level. For Bane, the Force couldn't be passed from Sith Lord to Sith Lord as if it were fire, for if many were to attempt to carry its flame, it was inevitable that a Sith would eventually believe they were the brightest among the Order, regardless of how dim and pathetic the flame of the Sith Lord truly was. In this way, infighting was always the result. For this reason, Bane saw the Force as venom, for if it wasn't diluted by being poured into many cups, thereby losing its potency, it could be used with deadly results. This of course was the basis for restricting the number of Sith through the Rule of Two. However, Luke saw the opposite was true. The Force was fire, with proof being the growth in the flame of the Jedi Order that was restored after the Empire. Although the light of the Jedi was almost extinguished through Order 66, the flame was spread by Luke, making the light stronger as it passed from Jedi to Jedi. But Luke did also see the intelligence within Bane's philosophy. By moving the Sith into the shadows where they could grow and eventually strike from, Luke found this tendency among the Sith to be extremely worrisome. Given the success of Bane's rule of two through the actions of Darth Sidious, Luke knew the Jedi needed to always be watchful for threats that lurked in the shadows, a terrifying prospect that benefited the dark side. However, Luke would disagree with Bane on a number of other topics, including the wisdom Bane saw in believing in the impossibility of basing an order on elements such as peace and harmony, which the Jedi did through their code. For Bane, as evident within the code of the Sith, peace was a lie and there was only passion. In this way, the dark side could enable and guide a Force user who gave in to their passions, both in seeking an arsenal of dark side potency, but also generally in lightsaber combat. As Bane believed, giving into emotions like hatred, fury, and fear ignited one's abilities, and provided temporary transcendence that made a Sith Lord unbeatable. As a believer in the Jedi Code, Luke rejected Bane's premise that peace and harmony was a lie, using his own father Anakin as an example. In Anakin, Luke witnessed someone who overcame his existence as Darth Vader and the teachings of Sidious to once again find peace through the light side, again becoming the Jedi he was during the Clone War. Even more, Luke was confident Bane was wrong in relying on emotion to win lightsaber duels. For Luke, passion might earn a Sith a quick victory, but without peace, the lightsaber practitioner wouldn't have the clarity to win in the long run, as technique gave way to their own fury and rage. Therefore, Luke learned a significant amount about the dark side and the Sith from Darth Bane within Legends, and to see the Dark Lord of the Sith again be a source of study and understanding for Luke in canon is one of the great additions found within Secrets of the Jedi. So there we have it. Hopefully we're one step closer to our canon Bane trilogy. Thank you very much to all of the Patreon members of Star Wars Reading Club, as your support is so greatly appreciated. You can find all of our social media links and a link to our Star Wars gaming channel in the description below for updates and even more Star Wars content. We love making these videos, so why not subscribe for more fun Star Wars theories and discussions. Also, if you enjoyed the video, think about giving a like or leaving a comment. If not for me... For unexpected moment references.